Hey, welcome back to The Nice Guy Show. I'm The Nice Guy, Phil Torcidia. Please follow along on Facebook.com/Such a Nice Guy. And you can put your questions and comments there, and we'll try to get to those at a future show. I'm also author of funny books about dating and relationships. I have the links on the Wazzillo Media page down below, so you can check those out. And I'm back here with my guests, Kathy, Michelle, and Melissa. We're going to talk to Melissa now about the restaurant business. So, you are proprietor of Tommy V's in Carlsbad. Now,
Yes.
Where exactly is that? Off Bressie, right?
It's in Bressie Ranch, so it's just south of Palomar. Just south of Palomar Airport Road between Melrose and El Camino Real.
And it's a beautiful place. Definitely go check
Thank
it out.
you.
And you've
Thank
been
you.
involved in the family business forever, right?
I grew up in the restaurant business. I mean, all of my memories were, growing up in the kitchen with my father, who's a chef and restaurateur. And it's like the mafia. Even if I wanted to get out, I couldn't.
You can't get out.
They're pulling me back in. Yeah, exactly.
You can tell it to Italians that watch Godfather all the time. Yeah. Wow. So your father, was he the original from Tuscany?
He is.
Yeah, okay.
He is. Most of our restaurants, my father's restaurants originated in New York.
Okay.
But he came out to, and then we have a lot of restaurants in Arizona, but he started in California about 20 years ago, and he's had Tuscany for almost 20 years. And my brother and I have both followed in his footsteps.
Very cool.
So.
Yeah, so what's your brother doing? He has a new concept coming along?
My brother's working on a new concept. He started Joey's Smokin' Barbecues.
Oh, okay.
And then he sold that franchise, and he's always got some new project in the works. We don't have a name for it yet, but he does a lot of quick serve. He's smart. I'm the one that wants to do everything. I want to suffer like any good Italian woman.
Right.
I don't. He's opening up franchises and figuring out how he's going to make money, and I'm just figuring out how I can have one place and just suffer. So.
I've been there. It's brutal.
But I love it.
Wow. So he has no problem delegating. You have a hard time giving up control. I was the same way. I was.
I just think I love it. I actually enjoy it. So I could delegate, but I'm the kind of person that has to be doing something, and so and I enjoy what I do.
So what do you do when you're there at the restaurant? Do you get stuck cooking and serving and
I
bartending?
I do it all. I think you've seen me. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm in the kitchen. Sometimes
Yeah.
behind the bar.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's such a wonderful thing. The restaurant business is kind of like a Broadway production, though. Most of the things that go on, all the hard work, is done before the curtain opens. So once the curtain opens, it's a show, and I'm really blessed to have great clientele like yourself.
Oh, you're
and
sweet.
it's a great business. I love it, but it has a downside also.
It's just, I think a lot of people, like I did when I was younger, a lot of people dream about getting involved in either a restaurant or bar business, because when you're a patron at one of these places, you see all the money going over the bar, but what you don't see is the money going out the back door.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Or leaving in one of your employees' pockets, which, unfortunately that happens too. So, I always had the dream when I was growing up, and I started, actually when I was 15, I started dishwashing in a restaurant across the street from where I lived. So that's where the dream started to build, and I got into cooking. I started flipping burgers. I'm like, oh, this is great, I can cook. And then I realized the money was in the actual serving of the tables, the tips, the cash.
Right.
So I spent 3 summers down in Wildwood, New Jersey, working at the Jersey Shore. And,
Oh gosh,
a lot
I
of
can
it's
picture
true.
that. You were the original situation.
I was. I'm the hairy situation.
This is the situation.
I wasn't the
Let's see
hairy-
this situation.
No, I have a six-pack.
That's a bad situation.
My six-pack's in the fridge. Yeah, but no, I mean, so I did 3 years in Wildwood, and I worked at some really cool restaurants down there. And again, they were very highly successful, I thought. So I was like, this is what I want to do. So in 1990, when I got married, I was looking for a business, and my wife was always like, what? I don't know if you really want to be doing this. I'm like, this has been my lifelong dream. I want to do it. And I remember the day that I decided I was going to buy a place, I found a place to buy. We had a discussion. She actually came to tears over it, and she was right. That's all I can say. She was 100% right. Honey, you were right. I suffered through it for 10 years, and my business was a little bit different. We did wedding receptions.
Okay.
And we were open for a restaurant too, and we did some nightclub stuff. But at least with the weddings, I knew how many people I was going to have every night. Now,
Right.
you have the problem where on any given night, you don't know.
There's no stability to it, so it's really difficult. And like you, I meet a lot of people whose dream is to open a bar, open a restaurant. It looks so much fun, but they have no idea what is entailed. I mean, the rent, the workman's comp, everything all of my expenses.
Yeah.
Very, very little is kept in the pocket. And we
Right.
have a saying in our industry that in order to make a big fortune in the Well, yeah, in order to make a big fortune in the restaurant business, you have to start with a small fortune. I mean, you have to have money
Right.
in order to make the money. And some people just open the doors and they think, everybody thinks because I eat at restaurants, I can run a restaurant. And that's just not true.
Not even close.
Not even close.
It took me 10 years to even get to the point where I was making money out of it. And by the time I got to that point, I was like, get me the hell out of this. It's crazy. It's a crazy business. And how many hours do you work a week? So you're not working a 40-hour week.
Oh my God, that would be like a vacation
Right,
for me.
wouldn't it?
I'm there. I'm there 7 days a week. I take time off here and there. I have 2 children, so I have no choice. I have to try to balance it. But when I work a work day, I get there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm the first one there and the last one to leave.
Right.
So I'm working 14-hour days, and I'm exhausted. It's exhausting, and you have to always be on,
Yes.
which is hard.
And your mom. You're mommy. How can you be mommy in 14 hours a day?
It's difficult. My kids come to the restaurant with me. My 5-year-old son comes in the mornings when he's not at school, and he makes the pizza dough, and my daughter
No way,
does her
that's fun.
homework in the office. And it's a family affair. Luckily, I was raised that way, so I know how to do it. But
Now, would you let them ever get involved in the restaurant business, knowing what you know now?
would I let them? For all of its downfalls, I have been blessed, and I love it. And so I would support anything they want to do. Fortunately, my daughter has absolutely no interest. My son is 5, so he just sees the glamour of it all right now, and I'm hoping that he smartens up in the next couple of years and doesn't want to do that. I'll push him to be a doctor or
There you go. Or a lawyer,
an author.
an author.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's not that much money in
relationship
that either.
expert.
There you go. I can help him with that. How old's your daughter? 15?
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she already knows no parts of it. Thanks, Mom.
Right, and she also knows everything, so,
Yeah.
when they're 13.
She sees it all. It's
Yeah.
funny. I talk about when I sold the place. When you sell a restaurant, you really can't let anyone know because you don't want to lose your clientele.
Right.
And the final day I was there, we had a little nightclub night going on, and one of the patrons got sick. And so guess who had to clean it? So my last night, when you're the owner, it all comes
Yeah,
on you. I can
does.
go up to any employee and say, hey, go get that, and be like, So what choice do I have? So there I was mopping up this young lady's mess, thinking this is the last day I'll ever do this again. Just like when I moved here and I threw my snow shovel away. I'm like, this is the last day I'll ever shovel snow again. So how does the kitchen operate in restaurants? I noticed here we were talking about it out in the room, and this isn't racist by any means, but I'm just observing. Most of the restaurants here, the entire kitchen staff is Mexican. So is it because the Mexican people are the ones that are training to work in the kitchens, or what's the...
I think that it's a combination. We joked around about, you said that you never see Mexicans back east, and I said, because they're all in California. They're all in California, if not in Mexico. I think that's part of it. You know what? To be honest with you, they're hardworking people.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
the positions in the restaurant, other than executive chef, don't really pay a lot. I'm here to admit it. And so there are a lot of people who won't work those amount of hours with that amount of stress and responsibility for
That low pay.
that low pay. And I wish, the kitchen staff is the highest paid part of the restaurant. They're not making tips, so you really have to pay them well, but it's not really worth the time you put into it. I'm here to tell it. Maybe everyone's going to quit now. I'm going to get to the restaurant later. They're all going to ask for raises, or I'm doomed. But that's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah, dishwasher. You can't find somebody that well, you were a dishwasher.
Well, I was 15. I needed any kind of job, so, and it turned out it wasn't so bad. I kind of enjoyed it,
Yeah.
You get the best food and everything. You get all the good scraps, not from the tables, from the chefs, obviously. But what I found was the servers were just making, and especially when I owned the place, which drive me crazy. My servers were making more money than I was.
Yeah,
all the
tell me
time.
about it.
was like, man, I wish I walked out of here with $200-300 cash.
Yeah.
And I hear about some of the clubs downtown where some of the servers walk away with $300-400 cash in a night.
Oh, they do.
That's just crazy money.
It is crazy. There are a lot of owners that wait tables too, and believe me, it's gone through my mind because I sign their paychecks and I know what they're making, but I know somewhat what they're pocketing every day, and I've got servers that walk out of there. I'm not going to name names because I don't know if he pays his taxes. $300-400 a night.
Wow.
Just serving tables.
And then God knows what he's taken from me, so he's making a good.
Yeah. Well, here it's a different law. When I was doing it back in PA, they had a minimum wage, but they figured the tips into it partially, so I was getting like $1 an hour.
Right.
On a paycheck.
That's how it is in Texas. It's
That's how it is in
2.53.
Arizona. That's how it is in Arizona.
But here you got to pay the minimum wage, like $7 something, right?
Oh,
Is
I
it
wish
more?
minimum wage was
Yeah.
7. Yeah,
I don't even know what it
it's over $8.
Oh my God.
I mean, it'll be $10 before we know it. The cost of operating in California is crazy, and that's why you're seeing a lot of people leaving. Because places like Texas, Arizona, Florida, all these other places, they're pro small business. I kind of feel like California, everywhere I look, I've got to just keep paying more and more. I don't get a break.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to operate.
You don't even get tax breaks, right? Property
No,
tax breaks, nothing.
Nothing.
Is it easier to open up a business than in California?
I
I mean, it
don't
feels
think-
like
I don't
there's
think
got to
it's
be a
easy to open.
okay.
Oh, that there should be like
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's so many.
Like we'll front you
laws
up
and-
front, but then you have to pay us on the backside.
No,
or,
there's no
nothing.
fronting me up. No.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting.
Building it, there's so many different rules and regulations in the city and the permitting. It's all much more difficult here.
And then they come in, they inspect, and especially because you're serving liquor, so you've got
Right.
a whole. I mean, I have stories about the Liquor Control Board back east that just would stand your hair on end. Just crazy the things I had to go through. I had a male review there because I had wedding receptions and there was no place for the brides to take their bridesmaids. So I'm like, I'm going to do male reviews here and let them have a place to have fun too, and they loved it. Well, of course, the neighbors didn't like it so much.
Right.
So somehow it got around, and the Liquor Control Board had sent 2 guys over to come in to one of the shows, right? And it was about 15 minutes before the end of the show. And the guys were like, yeah, we want to come in. And the manager was like, well, the show's over in 15 minutes, and then we just open it up to everyone. Okay. So they left. The next day I got a fine because I discriminated against men by not letting them in. Which, it wasn't that we refused them entry. We just said the show's going to be over. You get a bunch of crazy girls that are going to be ready for you,
Right.
But so it was just frustrating dealing with all the bureaucracy.
Yeah, and all the liability. I mean, every customer that walks through the door, I'm constantly, all these things have to go through my head. I make sure that I'm not offending anybody, and I have to be politically correct all the time, which if you're friends with me on Facebook, that's hard for me to do.
Ah.
And so, yeah, it's difficult.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to come back next segment and continue the restaurant speech, and we can tell you a little more about the business and whether or not you want to get involved in it. Thanks for joining us.